I like to talk about my journey with Christ and returning back to the Catholic Church. I wanted to kind of just present my story and testimony, I guess you can say, about how the impact that he's made over the last year. And I think throughout my whole life, I always assumed that I just had like really good luck because I got out of the craziest situations, and stuff favored my way even when the times were extremely dark, and I went through my trials and tribulations and went through the whole thing with my past. I've been to jail, dropped out of high school, left home, all that stuff. I went through all that, and I just thought I was really lucky because I always came out the other end. You know what I mean? And come to realize this past year since coming back to the Catholic Church, last August, so it'll be a year soon. Something that gives me so much comfort is realizing that it's always been God. Hasn't been luck. It's always been Jesus. It's always been Him. He's always been watching over me and hoping that I come back to Him. And it's just so comforting knowing that, because that was the whole reason for me personally wanting to come back, and essence of Steph as well, of us both wanting to come back, because everything else in our life was fairly good. We felt a lot of discomfort and uncertainty with all the stuff happening in the world, just everything that's happening in the world, all around us. And I'm not trying to fearmonger either, but it just felt like we were spiritually unsafe, I guess you can say, and we needed protection. And we went back to the church, and I feel like it has solved so many problems, not without question, not with, just blind faith, I guess you could say too. We are discerning it as we go, and he's just been proving himself. Well, not proving himself, but he's just been showing himself in our lives a lot more than we could have ever imagined. And it's just been beautiful how it's allowed us to connect a lot more, me and Steph, and us really learn together, because I'm not super educated. I don't know everything about the scriptures and the verses and everything like that, but I could show you how Jesus has showed up in my life. And there was this moment, and I think it was very impactful for me and Steph to see God present His mercy on us during a rough time. Just like any relationship, there was a rough patch we're going through, having the new transition and me becoming a new stepdad full-time, all that stuff, just a lot of change happening at once. And there was this moment where me and Steph were not on the best terms for a few days, and we were both praying at the same time, hoping that we could come to a conclusion on what we need to do. And I remember we were kind of just both broken for a few days there, and not to get into details, and just trying to figure out what we want. And I remember I was praying in the shower, because that's usually where I pray, and I have some peace in there, and it's just been habit as well. I remember I was like, God, show me a sign, please. Just give me a sign. What do I need to do here? What's my decision? Please guide me. Show me the opportunity, and I'll take it. And as soon as I finished praying, Bella knocks on the door. She says, Daddy. And right in that moment, that was just like the beautiful sun. It came through, you know what I mean? It was just such a beautiful moment. And since then, it really affirmed a lot of stuff. It's we're all gonna go through crazy stuff. Nothing's perfect, and no relationship, no job, no career, no family, no relationship is gonna be great. But knowing that we have an impenetrable force and an amazing backbone, with Jesus and even the church now supporting us, we can get through it all. And we're able to talk through things a lot more, because we do have guidance, and we do have a foundation, a proper foundation on how to guide ourselves, our family, how to lead together as a unit. And I think it's moments like that, and realizing too over the years, whenever I was younger, always I didn't know much about Jesus. I didn't know there was a difference, or not a difference, but distinctions between everything, it's God, Jesus, God, etc. No idea, none of that. But for some reason For some reason, when stuff went down and I was just down in the dirt, I always said, God, please help me just this one time. Please just help me this one time. And, more times than not, he did. Other things had to take their course, as they should, and have to go through that pain. But, when I called, he answered. And I don't know why I didn't catch on sooner. Because I'm like, why am I still crying out to him? And this whole time I'm not like, quote unquote, believer or religious or anything of that sort. But for some reason I always came back to him. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's just a wild concept. Like, how are we not gonna commit to this relationship with Jesus and we're still calling out to him, asking him for help and not showing up for him when he's showing up for us? And that's not to bring any guilt on anybody, but also to just realize that, you can't be neglecting the most important relationship in your life, which is also in turn going to help you build the other relationships in your life. So it's been an amazing journey. There's a lot of details I spared, but I didn't want to make this about me. I just wanted to make it about him, his mercy, and what he's done to our family. And I mean, we're so grateful. I'm here on a family vacation, in Hawaii, Honolulu. It's amazing. So, but none of this is possible without him. You know what I mean? Stuff could have went really, really, really bad in any of our lives. You know what I mean? But to know that I trust him and to know that it's here, I'll be forever grateful. Glory to Jesus Christ. Love you guys. Love you, God. God bless.